Welcome, welcome, ladies, to LDK Talks Love. Um, this is How to Get Him to Marry You series, part one, Who Men Really Are. Okay, so I want to start off by saying men are just like us ladies. They do desire marriage just like us. Okay, so please get that notion out of your head that they're all alpha males and they don't want the long term and yada yada yada. Please let that go because that is so far from the truth. Okay, men do desire love in marriage just like you and I. Okay? The next thing is when you desire marriage, you have to go into your relationship with long term in mind. When you start any relationship, you have to go in it with long term in mind from the start, from the gate. Okay? Because that's what marriage entails. You know what I mean? So and then the next thing now, however, with technology of today, social media and etc., texting, etc., that long haul notion can be better said than done. Why? Because with technology, texting, social media, etc., it's everyone breaks up literally like every 2 seconds. Like, you know what I mean? It's always an issue. Oh, he left me on red. She left me on red. There's a problem. They must be doing something. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Next thing you know, no more future in mind with this individual. And that's a really huge problem in today's society. Everyone's breaking up. No one wants to stay together. So that's like a really huge issue, okay? But the good thing is, ladies, men are not how should I say this? Men do not express themselves emotionally like we do. Yes, they are emotional and sometimes they can be a little bit too emotional. You know what I mean, ladies? Like, yeah. But men do not express their emotions like you and I, meaning they cannot sit on the phone texting for days at a time how they feel like we can. Like we ladies, we can sit down with our girls and we can talk for hours and hours about our feelings and so on. Men don't do that. They talk to their boys, you know, 30 minutes top, and that's it. They're back to their business. They ain't got time to be sitting there being into their emotions all day. So that's the good thing about the social media point. We are the ones who express our feelings more. And to be honest, between you and I believe texting was made just for women. But that's another story. So yeah, we push the texting thing the most. And like I said, that's good, you know, for relationships when you want to be in it for the long haul. See, when it comes to men, they will prefer the video calls, the pics, the meetups. We prefer the texting and expressing our feelings and etc. So, with men being that way, that's a good thing. I mean, yeah, it to us women, we're like, oh my God, we don't want to be talking about that. We don't want to be sending pics all day. Yeah, totally. Nobody wants to be doing that. But the great thing about that is the meetup part. Why? Because it helps you get off of the freaking phone. Like literally, it just helps you get off of the phone. So if you're smart, you would do it the men way, the guy's way, and you won't be sitting there texting all day and wondering if he left you on red or not. You will be trying to move his way, which would be meetups and maybe the occasional pick, but I prefer not. pics and all that. We ain't even playing wife until we're actual wife. But that's a topic for another part, another session. But as of right now, like I said, that's a good thing that they prefer everything else except for sitting on the phone all day, because it allowed us to really be in the relationship for the long haul, which is the goal. Okay, that's the goal that I'm trying to tell you ladies. We have to be in it for the long haul. And the phone does nothing but get in the way of that. Okay, so yeah, the guys, they want to meet up, they want to do this, they want to do that. That's a plus, you know. So stop beating your man down about, oh, you know, he doesn't want to sit on the phone, he doesn't want to text all day. Stop beating him up about that, because listen, that's a good thing for you. All right, because you're really in this for something huge, which is marriage, long term, you know, future matters, versus just 5 minutes, 5 minutes express how I feel and that's it, you know what I mean? So you don't want to be playing house over the phone, if you get my drift. Okay, so the next thing is, you might say, well, LDK, listen, when we do get together, all he wants to do is have sex. Trigger warning, okay? Yes, I'm talking about sex. All he wants to do is, you know, just lay up all day, or some may not even want to spend much time together. And listen, ladies, this leads me to my most important point about him. In a female and male dynamic, ladies, you have to be the visionary for the relationship. Okay. And I'm not talking about just planning trips and so on, right? I'm talking about the whole itinerary for the relationship, for the marriage, the bigger picture, rather, the bigger picture. Okay, for the marriage, the kids, the house, the religion, and so on. Like, you cannot go by what they choose day to day, because men are not thinkers like we are. You know what I mean? They're more the doers, and we are more the thinkers and the emotional ones. So when it comes to the day to day tasks and what you guys are doing and so on, you have to have all that mapped out. And not only mapped out, it has to be according to the bigger goal, which is marriage. Okay, don't just be going, you know, just doing whatever he says. I mean, yeah, you can do, like, if he want to plan something, he want to do something, it's nothing wrong with that. But don't let it just stop there, because if it stops there, guess what? He's going to stop there too. You know, men are not thinking like, oh, what am I gonna do 5 years from now, 10 years from now? They're like, they're more in the moment, like, you know, the type of fun we're gonna have right now. And you have to be the one who is thinking long term and have a whole, like, you know, itinerary set up for that. Okay. So the next thing also, lastly, you may say, okay, so no being on the phone often, no social media, texting as much, you know. Well, actually, if it was up to me, it would be literally like a zero phone play, unless it's an emergency, you know. Um, and you'll say, so yeah, no being on the phone, none of the phone play, and be a visionary to guide the relationship, you know, away from what he prefers, right? Then eventually, wait. Be a visionary, move it away from what he prefers, and you'll say, okay, I'm doing all of that, right? Now, however, with that, what if he doesn't want to follow what I'm saying, my vision? You know what I mean? And this is why it's important. Okay, ladies, this is why it's important to get a workable man, someone who has self anchoring before you even meet them. meaning like self-anchoring could be like they have parents that stayed together, was together for a really long time, or they grew up going to church, or God was just a prominent part of their background. Okay, you have to get someone that's workable and have some sort of anchoring before you meet them. Okay, because you don't want to be struggling, putting what you want out there, and they're opposing everything and fighting with you, and everything is an issue. You want them to have this mindset before you guys even meet. So when you guys do come together, it's like water. It's like boom. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to lay things down. This is how what I want, and etc. And that's just that. Why? Because people are like sponges, right? They actually are not who you are meeting. They're a mixture of what they've had growing up. Like, a mixture of the rules, and the just basically what they grew up on. You know what I mean? And with that is a blessing, because like I said, you can use that. It can be a blessing and a curse, don't get me wrong, but we're going to focus on the blessing part. Okay, that's what we do over here. We just focus on the good things. So with that being a blessing, like I said, it allows you to move things without so much restriction and hesitation and drama. You're able to move things easily, and take it from there. So this leads me to the next part, which is actually going to be part two. And that is the type of man you do build up when you guys are together now. Okay. Because remember, the past should not be the be all in your relationship. Truly, it shouldn't even be a part of your relationship. Okay. But you can't really change that. So we're going to focus on the blessing part of it, which is the self anchoring. They had, this and that growing up, God, or, in the church, or, good parents who loved each other, whether they was together or not together, whatever. The point is they had a good anchoring. But now we're going to the part of what you are actually building up now that you are with this guy. And let me tell you, ladies, this is for part two. So we're going to talk more about it in part two. But if you are not healed, this part where you're now building up the man you're with, okay, this part can either make you or break you, okay, if you're not healed. And you'll eventually blame him and say, oh, well, it probably wasn't meant to be, or he probably never really wanted to be with me, which let me tell you something, that can be far from the truth. Okay. I'm just going to outright tell you. Okay. Why? Because men love love as much as anyone else. So if you're not healed, this can be your make or break moment when it comes to you guys coming together now, and you building up the type of man that you need in your life, in your marriage.